What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video. And in this, I want to talk about the overall market and give you guys a very important warning about what's going on right now. We're seeing Tesla down 10% in the pre market. We're seeing many other tickers and ETFs down 3 to 4%. The market is tanking. I'm going to give you guys the exact reason why. But let me just mention that I'm not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And don't forget to smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. So why is the market crashing? What the heck is going on? We had some crazy news that came out. So honestly, guys, this is all being led by Japan. We have the Nikkei 225. That is once again a very important move that's being made. We had the second largest drop in history for the Japanese stock market. It's actually the only time it dropped harder was the Black Monday crash of 1987. And we're also seeing South Korea halting all sell orders as the market is crashing. Why is the market panic selling? What on earth is going on? So the first thing that happened was inflation went up in Japan. It was higher than expected. When inflation went up like this, they ended up hitting a new economic stagnation, and we actually saw another rate hike. This was very important because, once again, the first thing was there was a surprise rate hike that came, and then on top of this led to a lot of economic fears. So when this happened, not only did the market just crash in Japan, but this kind of dragged the US markets with it. And the US simultaneously. So the first thing you have to remember is that in Japan, there's fears of not only recession, there's another rate hike. They have to be a lot more like hawkish if you want to go that route. And now the US is following that trend. The US is also dipping, so are the European markets, on fears about the US economy, because we've seen so many different parts of the world where they had to continue to start cutting rates as fast as they could amidst all the fears that are going on. Whereas the US has been known for being very resilient, and unemployment has been just slowly on the rise. But as of recent, the numbers have gone much worse. We're getting more indicators showing that the US is entering a recession. So those fears, on top of what's happening with Japan, are just making things worse. So Japan is a very important partner of the US. Seeing them tanking is having a big effect on us as well. So first off, it's Japan, then also the US fears of the recession. Another big factor, which I think that should be noted, is the fact that Warren Buffett, right, and Berkshire Hathaway, they've already dumped a lot of their shares and they're holding an all-time high amount of cash. That's very important. So the market is once again tanking. It's tanking like crazy amidst all the fear that's building up about a recession. There's a lot of fear that, once again, what Jerome Powell told us was not necessarily the truth. Powell was saying that everything's okay, the economy is going to be fine. Now it's looking like there's not only a recession, but there's going to be even more economic hardships coming. So the next inflationary report that comes out in about 9 days is going to be super important. It's going to determine if the Fed is actually going to give us a cut or not. So you have to be ready for all of that. And there's once again just so much fear right now amidst everything that's going on with all these like negative manufacturing numbers and jobs reports. There's still a lot of fear. So today is Monday, August 5th. Please don't forget that 15 minutes after the market opens, we have the S&P Global Composite PMI. We'll see what kind of volatility that causes. And the main piece of data that's going to be coming out will be the ISM services data. So we have PMI, business activity, new orders, and prices all coming out. There's going to be crazy volatility at this time. We'll see if the market continues to crash, if it tanks once this data comes out, or will we get a big bounce? Expect a big move around the first 15 and 30 minutes, but mainly during the first 30 minutes of the day. At 10 o'clock a.m., look for a big reaction. For earnings, we just had Berkshire Hathaway. We have Palantir coming out later, but that's pretty much it. So what's happening with the charts? How is Tesla looking thus far? Honestly, guys, we're still looking very weak right now. We're going to see if the plunge protection team comes up, to try to protect things. But let me just make it clear, we're still looking bearish, okay? We have this resistance right over here to watch for at this 190 area. If we do manage to get back above this, I'll be looking for basically this 194 area as well as resistance. And then our key supports to be watching for is at 184. If that fails, we could be dipping all the way down to 180. And if that breaks, 177 is coming next. So those are some levels on Tesla. We are looking bearish. We got this big rug pull, but watch the 10% mark on Tesla, which is not too far from where we are at. We'll see how well Tesla holds in the mid 180 area. If it doesn't hold 185, don't forget to be watching us get very close to 180. We're still looking weak, so be careful. The fear is at a high, and you want to be very mindful of that. For SPY, this is looking absolutely insane. We're barely at 510 right now. What you'll notice is that this is previous resistance becoming support, this 510 area. If 510 fails us, I think we could be going all the way down to about 503. If 503 fails us, 500 is coming. And if that fails us, we're going down to 492. Keep those levels in mind. I'm sorry, like 494 to 492. So keep those levels in mind. Our resistance happens to be at this 512 area as well. If we break through that, I'm going to be looking for basically like 516 followed by 520. Make sure you keep those levels in mind. SPY is looking bearish. We're barely at 510. We're holding this previous resistance right here, which is now becoming support. So right about here. We'll see if that holds. I mean, it's tricky. There's a lot of fear right now. The market's looking bearish. And I think that there is a risk of us dipping even lower, at least for the time being. Okay, so look and see what kind of reaction we get at 10 o'clock a.m., but just know the chart is looking more bearish. For the QQQ, it's essentially the same thing that's going on with the QQQ. We're barely in the 420s right now. So I'm going to be looking at, so let me just double check this. We have basically 422 as our support. If that fails us, I'll be looking at basically 418. And if that fails us, we're going to be coming all the way down to 412 on the triple Q. Our resistance happens to be all the way up here around this. We basically have 428. So 423 and then 428 is resistance. If you get above that, make sure you watch 434. We got to get back above 434 to bounce. We're not even close to that. We're actually still looking very weak. So just be careful, guys. I think there's a risk of this dipping even more. So watch and see, can we hold this 420 area? If we don't hold this, we could be dipping all the way down into the very low 410s. So we're looking more bearish. Nvidia, it's down into the 90s. We actually came down to this imbalance. You want to reclaim 95. If it reclaims 95, we could get closer to 100 again. If we don't do so and this continues to dip, I'm looking at 92 as one of our supports, previous resistance becoming support. If that breaks, 88 is coming. That's the next previous resistance becoming support, followed by basically 85 and then 82. So looking more bearish. We'll have to see if we could hold above 92 or not. We're just barely holding on to it. If we don't hold it, expect 88, even the mid 80s. So you got to reclaim 95 or else we're going to likely continue lower. Please be careful with Nvidia. Apple, with all the Warren Buffett news, you know, how Warren Buffett sold half his stake in Apple, and then also all this recessionary fear, we have this imbalance down here towards 192. That's going to be this 192 area is going to be one of our supports. I do think we might dip closer to that. We're at previous resistance becoming support around this 196 area, but Apple has not shown signs of a bounce. It's actually continuing to tank right now. Watch 200 as resistance, not to mention 204. If we don't hold above 200, we don't reclaim it. Watch 196 if that does not hold us. I think we're going all the way down to 192. And if that fails as well, we have other levels such as 186. 186 is going to be a big one. So make sure you watch those supports. We look more bearish on Apple, in my opinion. Russell 2000 is also tanking all the way back down to 199. We're down another almost 5%. Watch resistance at 200 and then 202. If we reclaim the 202s, we could try to rebound. If we don't reclaim 202, I'll be watching to see how well it holds around 198. If 198 fails us, we could be dipping all the way down towards 194. So you want to be very careful. We look more bearish, so give this some time. Let me just double check this. Coinbase, looking quite bearish. We're barely at 169 right now. We're down 16% on Coinbase. We have a double top like structure. We're gonna be looking at support at 161. And then if that breaks, we're coming all the way down towards 150. We have resistance currently around 172. We're just barely holding up. We'll have to see if we can hold this. We'll see if we can get back above 180 or not. If we reclaim 180, it could try to bounce. Otherwise, we are looking more bearish. This chart suggests more downside right now. Amazon is barely at 154 right now, so it's not looking too good. We're down another 8%. The fear is once again getting to this, so I'm going to be looking at this support here around 150 flat. We got to hold that. If we don't hold that, we're going all the way down to about 144. To reclaim a bounce, I want to see it get back above. Let me just double check this. You want to break first off above 157. If we break that on Amazon, look at 162. If 162 breaks, Amazon could rebound. As long as we're below these supports, there's a risk of more downside. And I think that there is a risk of this dipping all the way down to the low 150 area. So be careful. Meta, it dipped quite a bit. We're seeing some buyers defending it. I'm noticing that. We have support at 440 that's being defended. And we're also seeing buyers stepping in, trying to push us back above 452. Look at resistance around 458. If that breaks, our next support is going to be around 465. We also have this big gap to fill above right here. Now, looking at this trend, this kind of resembles a head and shoulders like structure. If we lose 440, look for a big rug pull all the way down to at least 425. Look at resistance around this 456 area. We'll see if we reclaim that or not. But the chart looks more bearish. Microsoft is looking bearish as well. Just to double check this is at risk of 383 then 380. If those break, look for a bigger rug pull. Look at resistance around this 390 area. If we break that, I'll be looking for 395. That's going to be something else that's worth noting. Still looks more bearish to me. Same thing with Google/Alphabet. We got to reclaim 160 for there to be at least some hope for a rebound. 160, then basically 163. We got to reclaim these two resistance areas to try to bounce. If not, look at 156. If that does not hold, I think we're dipping all the way down to about 152. And eventually much lower levels, such as like 150, 148 will be coming next. But like I said before, let's see if we can reclaim these levels. It does look very weak, looks more bearish, so just be careful. The VIX is up 154%. This is the biggest VIX spike we've gotten in years and years. So this is insane, guys. We'll see how this holds up. Despite that the dollar is dipping, but this has to do with different factors, the market is still bearish. Tesla is still dumping. So we want to be very careful, guys. There's a lot of fear about a recession now. We're seeing, the U.S. is some of the most important trade partners being impacted right now. And there's just so much fear that's building up. I want to warn you guys about this emergency sell-off. I'll let you know that the bottom, there's no sign the bottom is truly in yet. So there is risk of more downside. Please be careful when you play this. Watch the levels I called out and be very careful, everyone. Just try to stay as calm as possible through all of this. And I'll see you guys very soon in just a couple of hours to give you guys another update. Get ready, be calm, cool, and collected, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Thank you for listening, and peace out.